I changed the name of my presentation to The Nature of Sound Healing, which is just, nature is another word for God for me, because I think God is absolutely everything. I think that God is nature. I think that God is the force that holds things together. I think that we're God. I think our consciousness is God. I think that love is God. I think that everything is God. I just think it exists everywhere. It's something that exists everywhere and nowhere all at the same time in another dimension of just pure love and knowledge, and that it is that core central, we're all different perspectives out of the same water, out of the same being, like the different water droplets in the ocean. And each droplet's just having a different experience, but we're all connected back to the same thing.
We must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow.
Forgive all that we can't forget. Regret nothing we can't let go. For despite what we have learned, infinitely more we do not know.
So let us tune our frequencies
until new vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends.
And now, it's time to start the show.
Are we recording?
That anymore. We are recording.
Okay.
And we already talked about some stuff. So let's just start with how I know you. Well, so you gave this presentation, I guess it was in a classroom, October of 2016. And you had the whiteboard there, and I guess there were a bunch of people sitting in desks.
Okay, yeah, that was in Chester, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so my best friend Doug was there. I believe it was that one he was at, and he saw your presentation. So then they mentioned you to me, and I'm at Doug's, and I sit down, he plays your video of that because you had recorded the whole thing.
Right.
And we just go straight through the whole thing, and it was like watching a synopsis of everything that I have studied in the last, couple decades. And you were synthesizing all of this important information and then relating it to music.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I gotta talk to this guy because he knows his stuff. So who are you? Where do you come from? How did you get into all this?
Well, I'm Tom Cassella, and I'm a musician. I don't know. I'm a human being. I'm a warrior for the spirit. Where I come from, I come from Rutherford, New Jersey. I live in Denville, New Jersey now. I work in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey as a music teacher for special ed children. I don't know. So the second part of the question, how did I get into all of this?
Well, you mentioned something in your presentation that you were raised Roman Catholic.
Okay. Well, yeah, I had to go. It was just a thing to do. My parents, it was a thing to do. You send your kid to Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
My parents weren't real churchgoers, but it was just that's what you did.
Right.
You go to Sunday school. You do communion, and I think it was more that my grandma, put pressure on my parents that all this stuff. My grandma was the real churchgoer.
So you guys, you went to a public school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to a public school. So anyhow, it was just like, so then I went there and I would just ask a lot of questions. I was just like, all right, I'm here. And it wasn't like I'm there because I was there. I had to go against my will. I never wanted to go.
Right.
I wanted to sleep in on Sunday.
Sure. And
a kid wanting to watch cartoons, but no, you got to go there. So I went in there and with this, like, okay, if I'm here, then I have to know exactly why I'm here. So I asked a lot of questions. I'm like, well, what's happening with this and that? And this, I get the stories and I get the things, but it would just ask all the questions like, well, is there really proof that there was Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
This is so long ago. Like, do we have any kind of real evidence of anything? Where do these stories come from? How do I know someone just didn't make this up? I mean, this is stuff as a kid. I'm not trying to be a jerk,
Sure,
or rude or disrespectful. I just was really interested to know, about Jesus. And for a long time, I thought about it as a kid. When I got older, I started thinking about it more. Like, who is Jesus, and all of his teachings, which I had to know what was going on. So anyway, I did a bunch of research. There is I forget what it's called, the Shroud or something, where supposedly Jesus was wrapped in it, and it's
the Shroud of Turin.
Yes, yes, and I did some real research to see if there was really a person, really a thing, and not just based upon faith, but they wanted you to. So then I came to the conclusion after all of this, because it's inconclusive. So my conclusion was that it doesn't matter if there was or not
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. It was what matters is what is being taught. It could and it seems as though that there's a consensus that yes, there was a person that existed, and through all the different religions, say like yes, they recognize him, but they don't recognize him as the Savior. And Christianity is the only religion that recognizes him as the Savior.
Right.
So. But this religion boggles my mind. It's saying like, well, if you don't follow this exact religion and these set of rules, you're going to go to hell. And so, how many thousands of people that you can count that follow this religion, and the other billions are going to? It doesn't make any sense to me, and it just didn't. So I was always had a questioning mind because I was never satisfied with the way things were presented to me. So if I was forced to do something I didn't really want to do, and I had to know why I was there, and so it just sparked all these questions and went forward, and to real reasons of why, who's Jesus and everything.
What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on? So that's the real. I've always been sparked on wanting to know why I have to do anything, and then these questions intrigue me. So that's where my curiosity started.
Mine is similar but different than yours because I was also raised Roman Catholic. Went to a Catholic school. So we had religion class every day. So I was learning this stuff inside and out. And altar boy, doing masses, the full deal. Until 8th grade. And there were two things that happened in 8th grade that were interesting to me. One was confirmation. So in confirmation, they take the oil and they put the cross on your forehead. And I mean, there was such this hype and build-up over it that I guess in my mind, I thought that I was going to be different after the confirmation. There was some part of me that was still buying into the mythology of the Catholic religion, that I was going to experience something. And it came up, and he put the oil on my forehead, and I was like, oh, that's it. I don't feel any different. Oh, what am I, a man now? Like, what does this mean? And then the second thing was, it was really strange. Monsignor Sterline and Sister Bernadette, our 8th grade teacher, they brought us all, the 8th grade class, into the church and said, okay, any questions you have that we haven't answered, anything you want to know, write down. They had never done anything like this before. Even though this is something I do every day with my kids, just ask any question. And when they gathered them all, they said, okay, all of your questions seem to focus around the similar theme of what happens after you die, and what we would call metaphysical questions that after 8-9 years in the public school, these kids still didn't have the answers to, and these why questions. And then I watched as Sister Bernadette Monsignor Sterline proceeded to try and answer the questions for everybody. After you die, your soul goes to heaven, or if not, if you have to work off things, you go to purgatory, and then limbo is for the unbaptized children. And the further they went on trying to explain, the more difficult it got for them.
Oh, it's made up. I mean, it's right. It's just like lies are built on lies. I mean,
it's almost like Tolkien has a deeper, tighter mythology than the Catholic Church.
Right. Somebody who really believes in a lie, they get caught up with it's hard to explain, and how it was invented. It was I think it was until the Council of Nicaea that they had reincarnation in the Bible, and then they took it out because they figured it's easier to control somebody with thinking they had one life to live.
Exactly.
You know, the Roman Catholic religion was a form of government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's really, when I see religion, it's like taking the really good aspects of something and then using that and manipulating it to have your own will done.
Well, that's what it becomes when it no longer serves its natural function.
Right. But it's you know, following a certain set of rules, and it's religion's a control. I mean, Edison said that, you know, he believes that there's a higher power, supreme intelligence, no doubt, but religion's a sham. You know, Tesla said that, you know, his mind is just a receiver, and that there's this core intelligence out there that he has yet to penetrate, but he knows it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's talk about, you know, a supreme intelligence, Max Planck, talking about that there has to be some sort of intelligence and supreme intelligence that can hold some new solar system of an atom together.
That is not personified and doesn't give a shit about, you know, everyday human affairs or rules per se.
Right. It's just not known. And it's the matrix of life. Matrix of everything is matrix of this mind. And that's where, like, my research comes into, like, the deeper parts of my research is the matrix. And it's a musical matrix.
So, okay, so let's jump from religion to that. So religions, would you say all of them contain aspects of the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And then that truth might be what you're getting at, that God is a musician, or that physical and spiritual reality is geometric.
You know, I want to say that the idea, when I first called this all, is God as a musician, because that's the ultimate conclusion that I came up with, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have a problem with even using the word God, talking about God.
Yeah, because it's like, he's a conductor.
Or if they think I'm talking about a person or an all-knowing being, or you know, and it's just the idea of God has been so, I don't know, distorted, and people have, and nobody knows exactly what anybody else is thinking. So everybody's view of God is different. So it's just, no one likes to use that word. So when I was doing my presentations, I think that it was, a lot of people would love half my presentation, but didn't understand how it related to God. Mm. Or they would have a problem saying anything with God. People have problems even presenting in churches. It was blasphemy.
Unbelievable.
No, it's true.
To me, that's unbelievable.
Well, that's just some. There's not a lot, but some people.
Sure.
So I changed it. I changed the name of my presentation to the nature of sound healing, which is just, nature is another word for God for me, because I think God is absolutely everything.
Okay.
I think that God is nature. I think that God is the force that holds things together. I think that we're God. I think our consciousness is God. I think that love is God. I think that everything is God. I just think it exists everywhere.
Agreed.
And it it contains this cloud or not even a cloud. It's just it's something that exists everywhere and nowhere all at the same time, in another dimension of just pure love and knowledge. And that it is that core central. We're all different perspectives out of the same water, out of the same being, like the different water droplets in the ocean. And each droplet's just having a different experience, but we're all connected back to the same thing.
Yes.
We kind of have blinders on in our own lives that we're going through.
Completely.
And we have had many, many different lifetimes that we've lived, or thousands. It could be that we don't remember any of them because we wouldn't be able to focus on our lives right now if we could remember. We'd be lost in thought about everything else.
I'm totally with you. And the other mind blower is that all those lives that you've lived are all happening simultaneously. It's not a linear, time is not linear. If you sort of step outside of it from a higher dimension, all of it's happening in the simultaneous now, which is the God that you're trying to define, right. Is the vibration. I'm going to just jump to it because I think what you're saying is there's this flower of life pattern that superimposes musical theory, but all of those the relationship between all of those mathematical notes, they ultimately cancel out to a grand zero.
Zero. See, the significance, like the biggest thing is like if I say I have this thing that equals zero, and people are like, so what? Yeah. It's just like, what does that matter?
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you add all this up, it adds a zero. And it's like, well, all right, but to understand the significance of it, you're taking the flower of life, which is this, hexagonal triangular pattern, but in the female form with circles. And the geometry of the circles and how they're formed and how they're arranged is exactly the way that a human embryo grows. That the way that the cell divides is in the same geometric pattern as the flower of life. The flower of life is two-dimensional, but is really a three-dimensional pattern. So when the cell divides, it multiplies, and it forms into the shapes that the flower of life would be if it was three-dimensional.
It follows the exact same
pattern.
Right.
If you look at the birth and death of a star, the nebula and the way that it all expands and contracts, the geometries are the same. So we're looking at the universal geometries of the macro and microcosm of growth in the universe. And it fits right in there with the golden mean and the phi ratios because it's all intertwined in together. So
can I go back for a second because the flower of life fascinates me.
Okay.
In that it's from, first of all, and you say it and then you move on. It's across all different cultures, all different times.
Right.
This pattern shows up, so we don't know where it comes from.
No, it's part of every culture.
Right.
It belongs to no one culture.
Yeah.
Like it's found in Ireland and in Turkey and in Italy.
Like that alone to me is mind blowing.
Right, and it's all called the flower of life all over the world. And the one part that I bring up in the presentation, the most remarkable part, is what's found in Egypt in the Temple of Osiris. And inside the temple, in the granite, it's burned. The flower of life is burned into it.
Right.
And this is dated to be at least 5,000 years old, this temple. So 5,000 years ago, considering that they're using the same technology that they say they built the temples with rope, copper, and slave labor, which is impossible.
There's got to be some other explanation.
And one brick would have to be laid, I think, every 7 seconds or 7 minutes. I think it's 7 minutes for it to be done within a span of 300 years or whatever they said it was.
Right.
I mean, it's just astronomical.
Something else.
Today's engineering can't do it.
Yeah.
So, but at any rate, they burned it into the structure of the granite, dating to be at least 5,000 years old. Who put it there, nobody knows. Why they did, nobody knows. The pattern's found everywhere. And so it's just a universal pattern. It's intriguing because no one knows the origin. That's why it was intriguing to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what?
Now, have you heard what you said about, because you went right to the division of the cells.
Right.
Well, we can go back just a little further to this God concept where the circle that you start with is God that is whole and complete and one and not divided, like the zero. And then consciousness, for whatever reason, boredom maybe, splits itself, or it shifts in the void, and now you have the two circles, which forms the Vesica Pisces. And then consciousness shifts again. And then, of course, this relates to the Bible and the days of Genesis were on the first day and the second day.
Oh, yeah. It goes. Yeah. So let there be light on the second day.
Yeah.
Supposedly that I look for the equations of light. And I was trying to figure out what the equations of light are. And it doesn't give you... Well, because within the Vesica Pisces is the square roots of 2, 3, and 5, which are all irrational numbers. Now, when Plato or Pythagoras was doing, it's a Pythagorean school, that he would work at the ratios of the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? Or c, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So he would do that with triangles, and he would find that the ratios would work and would not work, and so it's just like the square root of 2 isn't 1 because 1 times 1 is 1.
Right.
So it's finding these irrational numbers found at where the building blocks of life.
Right.
So that there's Pythagoras is there. I've read a whole bunch about Pythagoras because he's the father of classical music. Like Pythagorean, the way that he found out that ratios created the sound quality that you hear.
Okay.
And he did this and this is legend, that he was listening to anvils being struck by blacksmiths.
Right.
So then he found out that the ratios of the weight of hammers made the different tones.
Yeah.
So a 6-pound hammer and a 12-pound hammer created the octave because the ratio was 1 to 2.
Right.
So that's the ratio for an octave, the weight ratio, and now the value changes to vibrations. So if you're measuring vibrations per second, then the ratios, and let's say one's making 100 vibrations, the other one's making 200 vibrations.
Right.
So the weight ratio works into vibrational ratios, And the same thing with the string. He found out the same ratios that he found with weights worked on string lengths tuning, and that's how the modern day guitar is intonated and is created from Pythagorean intervals. Now they're all slowly. It's really interesting though that Western classical music is a 12-tone system.
Yes.
Right. So Pythagoras laid out the groundwork of the 12 tones, but his tones were not as pure. So because the major third and the minor thirds would be dissonant, they wouldn't they sound good. But Pythagorean music was mostly based on fourths and fifths, and they considered the thirds dissonant tunes anyway.
Okay.
So then more than just tuning came, and then where they're adjusting the third so it sounds good, and and then in Pythagorean tuning, if you measured it by fifths, the octaves would be off. Like nothing really truly fit. You could then in classical music in the time of Bach and stuff, you could tune the harpsichord really well to one key, and it'll sound great in that one key. But if you modulate and change keys, it just the fourths and the fifths and everything just goes flat or sharp. It sounds terrible.
Okay.
Then Bach came along and created well-tempered tuning, and wrote the well-tempered clavier, and where he modulated from every single key, then 24 keys. Then he went through every tone, and he played the major and the minor of each one, and showed that he could do that. It was a big deal that you could change tunings and play different keys. Then equal temperament tuning came out, and that's what we're using today, equal temperament, where the 12 tones within an octave are divided equally. And it doesn't use the exact Pythagorean ratios. It's off by a little bit to make the third suite and the minor third suite.
Okay.
And for all the tuning to exist naturally, where you can play an A and then modulate to the key of G, and it still sounds okay.
Understood. Okay.
So a lot of this tuning stuff is very abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And music's abstract because you're doing mathematics. It's mathematics.
Absolutely.
And you're using letters to represent numbers, and it's more abstract because the letters are not definitive numbers. Any letter, any note, it can potentially be any number.
Right.
Because it's all based on ratios, and it's all based upon where's your starting point.
So, do you have a background in mathematics as well?
No. Actually, I stopped taking math after my freshman year of high school because I completed everything. I was always very good at it.
Okay.
So I completed everything done in my freshman year.
Right.
And then they're like, "Oh, you can go on to do all this really hard math, honors math." And I said, "Well, I have to." And they're like, "No, you don't have to. You're done with math. My requirements."
Right.
And I didn't want to go to high school anyway. I was ready for the world right after 8th grade. So anyway, I was kind of angry at school. I'm like, "No, forget you." But no, I've always been pretty good at math.
Okay.
So but then with music though, music was very abstract for me to learn. It was hard. Music's hard to understand.
Yeah.
How we even translate from one instrument to another instrument. How you're looking at all this different stuff.
I mean, I don't know if I gave you fair warning, but it's a world that's totally alien to me. I love music. I listen to it, but I don't understand the note system, any of it.
Well, it's organized. It's a very well organized system, and it's an organization of ratios.
Right.
And it's an organization of how this stuff, like music harmony, is you're literally listening to math. Mm-hmm. You're listening to numbers.
Yes. And
the harmony you hear is the interaction of those numbers, or how well those numbers mathematically fit into each other.
So now let's jump back to the Flower of Life, because basically you're saying that everything is vibration.
Without a doubt.
I mean, go down to the quantum level and particles, or even if you want to do string theory where you want to visualize the...
It's still, at that point, it's just nothing, it's nothing but vibrations.
Right.
And I mean, it's just I have to put in there, that's why it's significant that everything equals zero. Because nothing truly exists.
Yeah, because all the vibrations are happening, but they cancel each other out at the same time. So you have everything and nothing.
Well, it comes from that singularity of zero.
Right.
And it all expands from zero.
Okay.
And that's where the symmetry of the universe comes from, is because it's expanding from zero.
All right.
And so you have, the A side and the B side.
Yes.
And, or positive and negative.
Right.
And so that's why when you look at a butterfly, you look at a leaf, we look at our human bodies, you look at animals, you look at practically anything, you're seeing symmetry.
Yes.
And our minds see beauty in symmetry. Our mind sees beauty in the ratio of 1.618. You know, that the spiral, the golden mean spiral. We see beauty in that, in symmetry and the spatial things. Like, we see beauty in math. And when we look at a flower or we look at another human being, we see beauty. We see the mathematics, the perfect mathematics. If we see something that's not attractive to us or something that's not, then there's something off with those math. And it's not in, or it may, one, be deformity, or two, you don't find that attractive.
Right.
You're brain wired. And I think the reason why we find other people attractive is how our vibrations is, or our mathematics, and how our mathematics are going to work with theirs and to procreate into something else. And I think that's just naturally hardwired in our brains and how we're programmed. Our emotions are mathematical.
Are you familiar with Thaddeus Golas?
No.
He wrote The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment and this other book, Love and Pain. So in a nutshell, he just goes, there's three things. There's space beings, energy beings, and mass beings. Consciousness. Mm-hmm. Consciousness can be mass. It can be condensed, like a rock. Consciousness can also be space, where it's not physical at all and it's infinite. But consciousness can also be energy. And energy is just the degrees between mass and space. And so there's, almost an infinite number of degrees between mass and space. So when you pleasure is functional agreement in close proximity, when your vibrations are the same with somebody or something. And pain is functional disagreement. And really that's all it comes down to. But what's interesting to me is what you said is you see somebody that's unattractive, or you see something that's not symmetrical, or you hear a note that's dissonant. But all of that dissonance and chaos is still contained and allowed by the flower of life pattern.
It can all be expressed through it, and it is. Yeah. It's a blueprint. It's like the building. It's a building code.
Yes, and so it doesn't just apply to music. What you've done is you've grafted it onto the musical theory so precisely. Like, I don't think anybody has ever done it quite like that before. But the implications of doing that in other areas as well. Like, where could we take the flower of life and apply it to other fields? I'm not sure.
Well, it can, the way that it can be applied to everything is I think music is everything. So in a way, I am applying it to everything.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, it is everything. So right.
So because everything is vibrating, right?
Yes,
and the laws of how those vibrations fit together are musical ratios and vibrations. I think that so it's everything is geometrical, right? Mm-hmm. So inside the flower of life is the five platonic solids.
Yeah. So well, I'm glad you got to that.
So the five platonic solids, the criteria to be a platonic solid is that you have to be three-dimensional. You have to have a polygon for a face. Mm-hmm. You have to have the same side face with the same edges. It has to be flat.
Right. And
all the interior angles have to be the same interior angle, and every joint has to have the same amount of faces meeting at it.
And the vertices correspond to points on the flower of life as well?
The flower, yes. The flower, yes.
The flower of life generates those patterns.
Yes. So this is the process. You start with drawing the flower of life, right? And you draw one circle, and then you go to the top of that circle, draw another, Vesica Pisces, and so on. Yes. And each intersecting point, you draw a circle. Mm-hmm. Then you keep doing this tessellation, or this pattern of drawing circles. And once you get out to around 61 circles, there's something called the fruit of life.
Yes.
Inside of that. Mm-hmm. Now, you take the fruit of life, and then you connect the center of each circle to every other circle of the straight line. That creates Metatron's cube.
Right.
Okay. And Metatron's cube is the five platonic solids.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Now, from that point, those five platonic solids, they were named after Plato, but not because he discovered them, but he was the first to use them in his theory of everything. Mm-hmm. And in his theory of everything, that all the elements, fire, water, earth, and air, or the shapes of those breaking down to the fundamental levels of those elements was either a tetrahedron or an octahedron. So the tetrahedron was fire, the hexahedron, the cube, was earth, the octahedron was air, and the icosahedron was water. Now, there's a fifth platonic solid that's called the dodecahedron, which he said represents ether or consciousness, and is created by the intersecting lines of the other four platonic solids.
Not the points
Not
in
the
the flower of
points.
life itself. You have to take all the other solids and their lines intersect.
Right. It's
and
like
where they intersect become the vertices.
it's like
of
the
dodecahedron.
hinges of the other four platonic solids.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, but that's how that's how geometrically your thoughts exist inside your body without
Right.
taking any physical space.
It is. I mean, that's the explanation. To
Right.
me, it's like
That's
end
where
of
your
debate.
mind is.
End of
And then you
debate.
think about where's the mind. So I got so after you start thinking that, the mind doesn't exist anywhere. So there's three thoughts. There's dualism, idealism, and materialism. That nothing, like the brain creates the mind, or the mind and the brain exist apart from each other, or only physical world exists. So
Okay.
so either way, the mind exists everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Yes.
And that's just the same thing with God. That's where I think with how we're relating to God, because God's everywhere and we're tapping into God at all times.
Right.
You know,
The
our
receiver.
personality of who we are is a part of God. We're not to say that we're God or you're God, but because that would mean that we were everything, and that's not possible.
Right.
Us being a physical being limits. We are limited.
Yes.
But just because we're limited doesn't mean that we don't share that same energy and love from God. That
Part of it.
universal,
Yeah, we're all part
of
it.
that.
You
Just drop it. It's a
not be
lens.
part of it. Yes.
Our body creates a
There
lens
you go.
into an experience,
There you go.
and it's just a big game. Like
Robert
Bill,
Ann Wilson would call it a reality tunnel, but it's
Yeah.
the same idea.
yeah, and it's a ride.
Yes.
Like Bill Hicks says, it's
Yeah, there
just
you
one
go.
big. It's just a ride.
Right.
You know, and I that's why when I think life gets too serious sometimes, or it gets I try to remember that this is just a ride. And we have the ability to change the ride at any time that we want, and it doesn't take any money. It doesn't take any. It's just a decision
Yep.
to change.
Yeah, exactly. And some people don't. They don't want to make that decision for
Oh,
whatever,
it's hard. Being human's hard.
for whatever reason.
It's
Yeah.
because it's not just a lens. We have all these emotions that we have to deal with, and it's tough. Human beings are imperfect.
So then let's go right to this. Negative emotions manifest because your thoughts. The dodecahedron is a platonic solid. That's thought, and anything that's non-physical, spirit, does exist, and it interacts with the physical world. So your thoughts, in many ways, manifest your reality. We know that your
100%.
vibration. So that your negative thoughts are going to manifest physically in ailments or diseases and so
Right.
on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so this is where sound healing has this tremendous, this potential.
Value.
This is where it seems to me where you're going with this.
Well, so getting back to one part about the platonic solids,
Sure.
right? Now, the platonic solids fit inside of the Metatron's cube. Now, if you take the flower, the flower of music, and you apply the platonic solids to it, instead of on each node point, there is a note.
There you go.
So there are notes that it connects to. Now, but they could be any notes. Remember, this is all based on ratios.
Yes, right.
There's nothing set.
So you can do this ratio up here on this part of the tessellation, or you can choose to do these down here, but they're all still
Right.
related.
In my flower music, I put C in the center.
Yeah.
Because just in theory-wise, it has no sharps and no flats.
Right.
So it's the most symmetrical point. It fits perfectly in the center.
Yeah.
But that middle note could be D. It could be any note.
It's just like
and
us.
then everything else just changes upon it.
Yeah, that's like us, right? We are that single note, and then everything else is changing, but everything else is also that.
Yeah, we have our
that
core
note
note.
too.
We have our core stuff.
Yeah.
The instructional guide.
All right.
There's, so when we look at why that's significant, why the platonic solids are significant. So Plato thought that these were all these elements, right? And so, but that was 300 BC. That was a long time ago,
Right.
and nobody could really prove that. They didn't have microscopes back then, right? So, through a lot of nuclear research by Dr. Robert J. Moon, who was a nuclear physicist, and he created this moon model. And it's all theoretics, because you have to remember, no one's ever actually seen an atom with a photograph.
Right.
Photons bounce off the electron field, creating a cloud, and you can't see what a nucleus really looks
You're
like.
just seeing the cloud.
Nobody knows. But since the 30s, we've had electron microscopes that bounces high-powered electrons off the atoms, and then images can be made, not photographs, but images.
Yes.
Right. And today we have the best images. Like IBM in 2009 came out with this awesome image.
Well,
of,
they
it was like
the IBM
pentagons.
logo. Yeah.
It was pentagons of these or it was a hexagonal cells of this image, and it's showing the geometry of all this being put together. So in 1986, Dr. Robert J. Moon created the Moon model, where he demonstrated that every element on the periodic table is related to one of the 5 platonic solids.
That's right. Yes.
So now you're looking at molecular structure being directly connected to the platonic solids, the geometry, sacred geometry of the flower of life. Like geometry. It is geometric.
Yes.
It's all geometric.
And if sound is geometric, then you can use the sound to influence the geometry.
Right, and exactly. And then the interesting thought is that our brains, our ears, our ear canals, when we hear music, the brain, the ear, the cranial nerves, it sends electrical impulses to the brain that it decodes it into sound that we hear. Like my voice is becoming electrical impulses. You don't actually hear my voice. You hear electrical impulses, which blows my mind.
Yeah, me too.
But at the same time, your cranial nerve, connected to the ear, is connected to every single organ of your body.
Yes.
So that's why different frequencies may be specific to parts of the body. Like they have certain frequencies that do different things, and that's why it makes sense.
Right.
Because it's going to affect different parts of your organs.
And that's what we just said. It makes sense. It's not some woo-woo, new agey. Like anybody that would.
It's not based upon faith. It's based upon real information.
Exactly.
That can be tested and looked at.
Exactly.
It's theory based off of like empirical evidence in front of you. Because it's the theory of it all.
And this explains why. Which I'm sure you already know, but yoga, meditation, mantra, all of those things are legit practices because, take like Kundalini yoga with mantras. You're vibrating, you're saying words at certain frequencies, and those frequencies are supposed to do different things.
Well, that's it. Sound healing works. It's a phenomenon. It's all over the world. Almost at every in Lebanon, in India, United Kingdom, United States, Canada, they all use some sort of sound healing as a medical treatment. And it's not mainstream. You don't have like Novartis or Pfizer going and saying you got to try this new sound healing because anybody can make the frequencies.
So, and that's where a lot of my questions come up too. Do you know of the different methods and have some been shown to be more successful than others? Like. To me, it seems like this isn't an exact science yet.
No,
we're still feeling our way out.
Yeah, so some of the first healing frequencies I got into are the ancient solfeggio frequencies, which are basically if you look at the numbers, it's 174, right? Then you have 285,
okay,
396,
all right,
417, 528, 639. 741, 852, and 963.
See, he just rattles off all these numbers. He's got
I hope I didn't mess any up.
No,
but I'm fairly certain those are right. So there were family group numbers. Mm-hmm. So like the numbers 1, 4, and 7, right? The numbers 2, 5, and 8, and the numbers 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are family group numbers. There's 3 family groups,
right.
Okay, and out of those 9 numbers, they be 147, 285, and 369. Okay, and they're inverses of each other. So at 174, right, you move the 1 over, and then it becomes 741, and then you move the 7 over, comes it's hard to do without paper.
Yeah,
but they're inverses of each other. You're just moving the number over.
That's crazy,
right? So then it's like, okay, the solfeggio frequencies aren't that important as to that. And I was debating because like there's so much about frequency out there. About tuning to 432 or tuning to 444 to get C to be 528. There's so many different tunings. So I wasn't totally sure. Are the ancient Sophesia frequencies? Are they really good numbers? What are they? I wrote an album, Ancient Orchestra, and it got medically recommended for PTSD and insomnia and chronic pain, and so I know that this music is doing something, and I can experience it too. Like when I wrote that album, that was one of the most like calmest I've ever been in my life because I was constantly listening to these tones, editing and writing it.
Sure.
So I knew there was something to it. So then I have this flower of music, and what the flower of music is, it's a way that all music notes geometrically fall out or lay out in front of each other, where each value is always the same. So if you're going in one direction on the flower, it's going up in intervals of perfect fifth. If you go another way on a flower, it's going minor six in all that direction.
And it all fits mathematically.
It all fits mathematically. It just goes on infinitely in all directions. So what I did was I made up equations or universal formulas to, let's say, I color-coded it so you go up a yellow and up a green, you're always going to build a major chord. If you go up a green and then a yellow, you're always going to make a minor chord. Yellow is augmented, green is diminished. With those formulas right there, there's only 4 triads or 4 chords that exist in music, and from that, everything else is built off of and made from. So I made an equation for every single mode, in every single key, in the major, harmonic, the melodic minor, every single one of them, all 21 modes. And I made songwriting formulas how do you write out different chords in different keys, and I put it all together, and I made the flower of music theory. So I helped use that with my kids at school on how to do songwriting, how to use these notes to write for them to be creative.
And that's incredible.
It was really
here's
cool.
The application of my theory. It's in practice. It's working.
And so then from that, I'm always trying to figure out new ways to teach it, and new ways to do the teaching, and I'm coming at different angles. So I said, well, instead of just saying like it's C to G or C to F, whatever, why don't I write in the numbers of half steps?
Yes.
Right. So I was 7 half steps up. And then I was thinking about on the keyboard and how to apply the keyboard to it. So the F below it would be the F below middle C. So then I counted backwards 7 half steps. So I started off, and then of course the root note would be 0. Okay, so you have 0, then 7 up, and then 7 down.
Right.
And it cancels out the 0. And then I counted up to the major third, and then I counted down to the major sixth. And then those they were +4, -4. So then what happened was I started seeing that these numbers were canceling each other out, and it equals 0. And then I kept going, and then all of a sudden I found this numbers tessellation. And these numbers, it went off in multiples in all directions.
Yes.
So then I was like, oh, this is really neat. So within all my research in that, I found all these helixes, I found the 0 line, I found all this stuff.
I know,
too much to talk about, right?
It is too much to talk about.
I need pictures.
Because, and I'm going to put up the link to your presentation. I mean, the actual presentation is 45 minutes, and then the meditation. So if anybody is still here and deep into it, like that's where they can go for more.
Yeah, the latest one from, was it? With the one that we were
at the
just
church,
at.
yeah,
in
Mountain
Mountain Lakes. Was it at? I can't remember the date.
It was in November.
It was November.
Some middle of November.
Yeah, but anyway, the November one.
That's where you started getting into the 3 6s and 9s. And
So that's where it was. So all these numbers embedded into it are these family group numbers. So if you look at the numbers, it says 285 across, and then it says 528, and then it says 852. And then 3, 6, and 9s, and then the alternate inverses of each other when they go through the 0 line. Mathematically, it's unbelievable.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose here now. My purpose here now is like, yes, I love making music and healing music, and I want to help people that way. I love being a teacher and working with kids. I'm writing all this out in a book and stuff. But the main thing is that I want to go out and present it. I want to go out and talk to until it gets to enough people, or it gets to the right people where I can have a platform to talk to as many people as I possibly can to
exactly.
reach. A lot of people have, the main people I would want to reach out to is like Marco Rodin, who invented vortex mathematics.
Yes.
Which this is directly related to.
We didn't mention that, but that's where you get into. So you take those family groups, if I understand, and the lines that are derived from them. You took your 2-dimensional grid, flower of life with the numbers, wrapped it into a cylinder, and those lines form the helix of the DNA.
Yes.
And then from there, you're going to... What did you just say? I just lost it.
Vortex mathematics.
Yes. So this Marco Rodin?
Yeah.
So then from there, he's got this whole idea of the torus. And,
right.
And
that's what it is.
A self-referentiating energy system.
I just have it designed differently.
Right. You're just coming at it from a different perspective.
Like, it's kind of like the center of his torus would be 0.
Yes.
And then instead of me having the center of that, and 0s and 9 are interchangeable. So, but anyway, I think I have a dividing point. Like his center point, or the 0, or the center of the torus, doesn't. I don't think it has a value. It's just emptiness. It's just a void, or it's just the center. And then I think that my 0 line is. It's hard to explain. It's just a different presentation of the same information.
Yeah, but it's almost like a true 0. It's a 0 that can be proved.
And it's a 0. It's a 0 that creates a line of symmetry.
Yes.
And that 0 line is the symmetry right down the center of our bodies, or in the leaves, or in butterflies,
or the duality of heaven and hell, and good and bad.
Right.
And so
it's
forth.
just it's balance.
Yes.
It's pure balance.
So how did you get into speaking in the first place? So you were teaching this, and then.
Well, I think that I just did a lot of research. I just did a lot of research, and I was obsessed with knowing the truth, and I was never ever had a thought of presenting any of it. And I think that there's this one point where, with the Flower of Music, I self-published a book and stuff, but I just never had I don't have the business sense.
Yeah,
I don't have the business sense.
Me neither. I completely feel you on that.
So I put it all together. I knew it went together, and I just didn't have the business sense to know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So I just let that go and stuff. But then when I found the numbers inside of it, I said, "This is not a coincidence. I'm supposed to be doing something."
There you go.
And I think that this information was given to me through the ether. And I just happened to have a switch turned in a certain way where it downloaded into me, or I can look at it a way that, if you want to think about it as God gave me information to spit it out. You go, God, Tom, you're smart enough to figure this out, and you have the personality or openness or outgoing to go and talk about it. So here. And it's not just me. There's people all over the world.
I always think about it as meeting the one mind halfway. There is that one mind. The information is there and contained. You're tuning into it, and it's ready for you if you it wasn't like it was just given to you. You did work. You tuned yourself in order to be able to receive it.
Right. Yeah. If there's anybody in the world that could be downloading this information, I would think I'm a good choice.
Yes.
Because I know music.
Right.
I appreciate it. I'm humbled by it, and I understand the power of it, and I am good at math, so I understand the numbers and I can see the significance of these things.
And there are tons of others who are interpreting it in their way.
There are many people out there that have the same expression of this matrix as I do. This is just my version of it.
Yeah.
But it's all over the world. People have different expressions of the same stuff. It's just that I'm doing something a little bit different with it. Like in Vortex Mathematics, it's the same patterns, it's the same numbers.
Right.
Rodin found these patterns through the Arabic language, studying the values of the letters and the word of God and number. He has his own mathematical fingerprint of God, and the doubling, his representation of that is the information in there is exact information that I have in my patterns. But we came from in two different directions.
Yeah.
He came from the Arabic language. I came from the musical language. Where I believe that the musical language is the universal language. And if someone says math is, well, you're right too, because math and music are the same exact thing.
Math is just that. I guess that's one of the things I wanted to get at before was, okay, we don't know where the flower of life comes from, but it's almost a dumb question, but that pattern itself, the math, what is that? It's... Like physical reality we can explain through it. Spiritual reality we can explain through it. But what is this it? I guess that's a question that doesn't have an answer.
What is it? What? I think it's just the way the energy flows.
Okay.
I think it's just the way. It's just the flow of creation. You know, it's just it's just the natural way that water flows. You know, like it's just nature.
Yeah.
I think it's just nature. You know, if you think like, did anything exist before God created anything? You know, like if you're saying God used music to create the universe, then does that mean that music existed before God, or does it mean that God created music to do this? Did God create the laws of harmony in order to create this? And did the geometries that the vibrations created did it fit perfectly into the flower of life? And it's the same thing with bees, and it's a spatial thing. Why when bubbles come together, it forms like a flat line in the center, and that's because of air pressure.
Right.
The way that honeycombs are made, you know, the honeycombs are formed into that way. It's a natural law. It's the law of gravity. Who invented gravity?
Exactly.
Well, you know, it just is. Who invented electricity? It just is. Right. Nobody knows what electricity is.
It works.
It works. Nobody knows. Scientists are baffled. They don't know. They can control it. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all theory.
Right.
And that's when another thing that sparked me was when there's 5 theories of reality, but there is no proven thing. We are living in a theory.
Yes.
We don't know what we are.
Which is why it's so important.
We don't know anything.
To have an open mind.
We know nothing.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Really?
Right.
We know nothing.
Everything we think we know cancels out through that grand zero.
Right.
That's what I look at.
You can't prove it.
Yeah.
You can't prove that you're actually in this room with me here. You can't prove where we are.
Right.
Because where are we? We're floating through the universe. Everything's relative. Like, it's just, there's nothing that's true.
And it's all happening in a simultaneous infinite now.
And it all has the potential to be anything.
Yeah.
And it's
At
just
any
infinite
moment.
potential.
Yeah.
You can have anything and do anything based on your vibrations that you're creating with your mind.
It's the secret.
That
I know,
is.
the irony of that thing.
It's silly. And they say like 95% of people that read The Secret and try to apply it don't see any significant change because they're not changing in the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have to apply it and change. You know, you have to use the power of writing. You know, write down what you want. Read it every day. Neuro-linguistic practicing, tapping. You know, EFT tapping. I mean, you have a set vibration. You know, you got some grooves in your neural pathways in your brain.
Yes.
You are a creature of habit. You know, so if you want things to be different, you have to do things differently.
Right.
You want things to change, you got to change what you're doing. You know, that's just, you got to change it.
And thinking in terms of vibration truly helps because it applies to everything in your life. You say, should I hang out with that person? No, that vibration is not good for me. Should I eat this food? No, it's going to lower my vibration. And should I exercise?
You literally get bad vibes from somebody.
Yeah,
You know, people say that's a figure of speech, but it's an actuality.
Absolutely.
You know, that can be, measured. Your brainwaves can be measured.
Yeah.
Like, emotions can be measured. Like you saw a note about Dr. Emoto and the water frequencies.
Yes.
Putting emotion into water, then freezing it, and then taking pictures of it with a microscope of the water crystal formation.
So that's the other major implication, I think, of the proving that spiritual or non-material reality thought exists, because that prayer and intention can affect.
But I think that it's a vibration. It's still a vibration. Maybe not in a, because you can measure your brain waves. You can measure your theta waves, beta waves, delta waves, alpha waves. You can measure those. But I don't know if you can actually. I guess you can measure different parts of the brain that are activated, that are part of different parts of survival and thinking, cognition. But emotions, actually mind reading. Emotion. But I think that emotions are sending out true vibrations.
Yes.
Your thoughts are real, tangible things, I think. They're real, tangible vibrations.
Yes, which is why, I just look at it as like I'm looking at this table right here, or this water. And it's not like there's a magic cloud that goes out. Literally, I am the same thing as the floor, the chair, the table, and the cup, and the glass, and the water.
It's quantum
quantum theory.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Non-locality.
It's a tangible, or the entanglement, that you are entangled with them. So it's a frequency I mean, if you think about it like a radio wave, a radio wave will go off and in one direction, maybe bounce off some things and stuff. Our thoughts are transmitted instantaneously in all directions and permeates everything.
Yes.
Across the universe.
Yes.
I mean, we have to just think about it here. Most of us aren't going to leave this planet in this lifetime. We're going to be on this planet, and we're not going across the universe. So we just deal with right here on this earth.
Sure.
Your thoughts and emotions affect every single thing on this earth. Your brain communicates and affects other brains that you're around. I mean, that's the power of law of attraction, where if you really want to change in your life, you utilize your brain, your transmitter, your genie inside your head to grant any wish you want by controlling your thoughts.
Right.
By really doing that. And there's all these different methods to do it. But when you change your vibration, you're affecting the world around you, and you're attracting events, circumstances, events, and people into your life to match that, that vibration. And that's just the thing. Another role of God, like we talk about the force of gravity, right, or these other phenomenal forces, the law of attraction is God too. Because God is orchestrating this harmony of the universe, this orchestra, and He's bringing things together. Harmony is the ultimate goal of the universe.
Right.
Balance is the ultimate goal. So whether it's good or bad that you're transmitting, you're going to get that balance. You're going to get what's in tune with you. If you're saying, "Ooh, that makes me angry," you're going to get somebody that's going to, cut you off and make you even angrier.
Exactly.
And angrier and angrier, and it's going to just keep pushing that forward, that emotion.
The snowball effect.
And you need to cut yourself off from that emotion. Like there's things with rubber bands and in your wrist to stop thinking negative thoughts. A lot of people have anxiety problems. I mean, everybody suffers from some sort of anxiety about worry about something. And life gets so serious, you need to find real techniques.
Well, and that's why, that's another reason why I think this is so profoundly important, is because we are sick, just as a general statement. Feels like there's a sickness that needs to be addressed.
Well, that's the general sickness is generated from the powers that be.
Right.
It's just Congress has just admitted that there's real such thing as geoengineering, and that they're actually spraying us with chemicals in the sky. You see those airplanes with long white plumes.
Wait, they actually came out and said that?
They're saying it in some hearings. I saw it on DavidWolf.com. 4 conspiracy theories that were proven true in 2017.
Wow.
And they're actually, and even before that,
because the chemtrail thing is one I thought was just totally bunk.
No.
It's just a condensation from the jet.
Condensation, it should dissipate within 70 plane lengths from the plane. Because it's just water.
Right.
There's not enough vapor in water, in jet fuel, to leave a long streak across the sky.
Wow.
And it's anomalies because you see one plane that's not spraying, it's leaving a regular condensation trail, and then another plane right next to it is just blowing out these long plumes that spread out into these haziness and then blocks the sun. Now, and at the same time, there's so many things that fall in line with it, like Monsanto. One of the main things that they're dropping, and I'm referencing this from the movie What in the World Are They Spraying?
Right.
And it focused only on what they're spraying. So a whole bunch of independent researchers from Mount Shasta to mid-United States have put out jars and collected what was being spread, and then they tested it. It was mostly nickel, aluminum, and barium.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So Monsanto in 2009 comes out with an aluminum-resistant seed, a patent for aluminum-resistant seed. Okay, why would you do that unless you're worried about the aluminum being sprayed everywhere?
Right.
In 1976, they had NATO. They came out with the UN the UN Weather War Treaty, that you can't use weather as a weapon.
Do you think that that's happening now?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Without a doubt.
Me too.
There's HAARP in Alaska.
Yeah, the HAARP,
HAARP.
exactly.
And what happens
Which is based on frequency, right?
It's all based on frequency.
Go ahead, explain.
Yeah, so then that's earthquakes, whatever. But what they do is they send out frequencies up into the ionosphere. They shoot power and they push up and heat up the ionosphere, moving it up, creating ripples and stuff. Now, when you watch, I want you to pay attention. Next time you see a real hazy day or you see them spraying, watch out for ripples. In it.
Yeah.
And there's not just one HAARP. All over grid points all over the world, there's different antennas.
So why are they? Okay. the other
high
side
altitude auroral research program.
Okay, but here's the
why
thing.
are they doing this?
Well, when you say they, though, how
Okay.
many people can possibly be in on something like that?
A very small amount of people.
You
I mean, it's the people that we'll never know the names to.
Right.
You know, it's people that are that are the money, that are the entire wealth. I mean, the front names that they are out there, like the Rothschilds and.
But you got to get the pilots to.
No, hold on.
Yeah, no,
like at this point, some people maybe turn out, it's conspiracy stuff. But like everything that I'm saying is referenced from something.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up.
I mean, just for the record, I will entertain any conspiracy. I won't buy into any specific one, but I also believe that there are nefarious things happening. Like everything is a conspiracy. Anytime you get more than 2 or 3 people together, it's a conspiracy.
And it's like, it could go really deep. And it's not like I'm not saying that it's the American government that's doing it, or I'm not saying it. I mean, there's just a shadow world government.
Sure. Now, so the spraying though, but what would be the intention of them?
Because you're getting sick. People aren't supposed to have heavy metals in their body, or heavy metals in their food or in their water, or breathing it in. Aluminum seems to be the lead cause for Alzheimer's. There's a lot of metal is not good. Also, if all the soil in the world gets contaminated, Monsanto's goal all along has been to just like have a monopoly on seeds.
Totally monopolize the market, right? They don't care if
So if all the soil gets damaged and they have the only seed, all they see is dollar signs. If people get sick, they're going to the doctor and buying the latest antibiotic. Mm-hmm. They're getting the latest allergy medicine. All these things.
All those institutions are in place to support the
money.
power and the money.
And that's the only reason why sound vibration is not in mainstream stuff. Because there's more money in cancer treatments than there is that using any other sort of
or any other cancer cure that's come out in the last few years.
It all gets shut down.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about money.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that people look and research and spend time on what they want to know and not buy into stories, because a lot of people just want to be told what to do. There's not a lot of. I mean, there are a lot of critical thinkers out there, but there's not a lot of people just aren't there.
Even critical thinkers are bound by the weight of the system.
Right, the system weighs a lot, and that's what I try to I wanted to walk it out of the wheel. Mm-hmm. It's a saying from my favorite TV show, Game of Thrones, to break the wheel.
Yeah.
The governments, the hierarchies, the people that rule.
Sure.
And for people to stand up for themselves. And it's like I'm trying to help the world by having people think. And along the way, I'm writing music to do it. I want people to think for themselves, because I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. I'm not saying that I'm even 1% right. All I'm saying is that I'm 100% sure this is my experience. Mm-hmm. And what I'm experiencing, what I feel true. Now, someone may get something what I'm saying and get a little bit of that and say that's true, but then have another school of thought from over here. And to them, that might be what works for them and find the ultimate happiness.
But that doesn't matter for you. You're just resonating. You're like, this is what I've got. This is my frequency. And anybody that's willing to tune in and learn from it can do that of their own will.
Right. So with all these numbers, all of this music, all of everything, it just, I'm ready to bring it out to this right now I'm working on a book. I just recently received the grant from Explore Life in 5D in 5 dimensions. Okay. And which is a wonderful thing. Which it was one of the great. It gives me validation and inspiration that what I'm doing is being recognized.
Yeah. The universe is like, you're on the right path. Here you go.
Yeah. Here's a little something to say. Keep going. So. What I'm doing is I'm writing a full book of all my research of everything. I mean, definitely covering a lot of what we discussed today in depth. Yeah.
That's what people need.
It's
all over the place. It's not very well organized.
Well, it is all over the place, and it's not very well organized. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to organize it all in one spot. And at the time, then go into all of my theory.
Yes, exactly.
And then all of that. And I have to build it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, right now I'm on chapter 4. And in chapter 4, I'm writing about the musical language. Mm-hmm. So, there's just so much to write about, from tuning to ratios to even just music theory. But before that, the main theory is that my main 7-number equation that equals 0. Mm-hmm. I think that's the key. Okay. I don't even know what to call it. I call it Cassella's equation, or the master key, or whatever. I don't know what to call it. But these 7 numbers is the beginning of the tessellation of everything.
Okay.
And I'm trying to explain how and why that is. Now, at CERN, right? The
particle accelerator?
The particle accelerator in CERN in France and Switzerland, I think those are the two countries.
Two? Okay.
Yeah, it's 26 miles long.
Yeah.
And what they do is they collide protons at near the speed of light, and then they explode into thousands of other particles to be studied.
Yes.
Into quarks and leptons and whatnot.
And
then there's a whole nother thousands of undiscovered supersymmetrical particles that they haven't found yet.
Right.
And the thing is that our technology keeps advancing, so we keep finding smaller and smaller parts. At one point, we thought the atom was the smallest part because scientists are arrogant, and they say, "Well, this is the smallest thing." No, that's the smallest thing that you can see at this moment.
Right.
And then it gets smaller and smaller, and they're trying to find the Higgs boson or the God particle.
They think they found it.
They think they did.
Yeah.
But it's still they're smaller.
But
pieces.
if you go smaller, it's turtles all the way down.
Right. You're going to keep
and
dividing and dividing and dividing, and it's going to keep going. So I think that instead of trying to find the smallest piece, I think that we should be looking at the smallest vibrations.
There
and I
you
think
go.
we should be really researching at a real high level of these ratios of frequencies together and how does it affect matter.
I agree. That's what I'm getting to. Right. Because take the diagram of the person in the lotus pose and the circles around them, and there's all the frequencies around in the circle.
Right.
And you go to YouTube and you check binaural beats, and it's just, this frequency's for this. This is the miracle tone. This is for kidneys and pain.
Right.
How
do
the
you know?
fuck does anybody know this yet? Because I don't think it's been completely fleshed out. Is that where this is going?
Right. That's where it's going. The point is that if you can figure out how everything was constructed, like what happens is in an atom, it's really a void. Mm-hmm. There's no air.
Right.
There's nothing. It's 99.99% empty space.
Yeah.
How do you create that empty space? So I'm thinking that these equations are equations to create voids, vacuums.
Wow.
And I haven't really talked about this before. This is a whole other part of my theory.
Groundbreaking theory.
Right, and I have equations of ratios of what I think that create the vacuum. Because that's what it is. There's the vacuum is inside this geometry. And that's what Nassim Haramein, that's researches the flower of life and all sacred geometry in nature and stuff. That's what he talks about is the vacuum, the void, the black hole, that we're all black holes. And that's the point of singularities.
We can't have something without nothing.
Right. So and I joined his residence academy and everything to learn more, and I'm still going through his program. But I thought if I joined, I'd be able to talk to him about it.
Right.
But they were like, no, everybody wants to talk to me. You can't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'm like, they're like, you can talk to other people. I'm like, all right, well. And I said that's fine, but there's a lot of people that have like big names. Like I've spoken with Joe Vitale, and he was one of the people that was in The Secret, the movie The Secret.
Okay.
And he's a self-help author, and he's into music, and he's wrote these book At Zero.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the 0 point, Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian healing technique.
Okay.
Where you say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Thank you. I love that one.
Right, and it's basically talking about having past lives and working and forgetting these memories or these programs, and everything that's bad in your life is a program, and that you erase your program to zero.
Yeah.
So
neutralize yourself.
So I reached out to Joe Vitale and I said, "Listen, I have this theory that everything's zero, and it works right hand in hand with Ho'oponopono." And I show him the whole presentation of it. This was back in 2014. And it was when I first discovered it. I showed it to him,
right?
And he said, Tom, it's brilliant, but I just, I don't completely understand it, so I can't write about it with you. But I really enjoy it. Yeah. And I've been in touch with him, and it was his friend Matthew Dixon and stuff, and we talk, and so there are some people. It's not like everybody that's famous is,
Does it feel like it's growing for you? Does it feel like it has a momentum to it?
Yes, I feel like everything I'm doing, I'm gaining momentum. It's like, as I become more settled in my own home life and stuff, and there's more things happening. Like I don't know how to explain it. I'm just becoming more comfortable as a human being.
I get that. Yes.
And that's and because of that, I'm able to all I did was beforehand I would spend all my time researching, reading, and then writing and just doing that.
Right.
And I didn't really give myself a social life. I wasn't. I just wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't into going out to Thatcher's and whatever bar around here,
Sure.
and, you know, drinking too much and sleeping all day.
Loud noise.
I didn't, you know, and I wasn't into there's a lot I wasn't into that people my age would be into that I just didn't do. I just was different. I was just very, you know. But, so finding that good balance of having a social life, you know, having, you know, a significant other, you know, there's a lot of balance in that life, you know, having a relationship and having them work, and you know,
it's a constant manipulation of vibrations.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and so at this point in life, I feel like there is a momentum building, and I think that the momentum, I had a whole lot of momentum before, and I was just completely immersed in my work, and then I kind of gave up, or when I gave up, but there was a lot of growing pains that I had to go through. So I feel like that I'm, you know, that I'm healed a lot. I feel like I'm healing a lot through. I mean, I don't want to be cliche and say the sound healing, but even just of my own comfortableness of being a human being, and having a purpose of knowing what I need to do, and that nothing else matters unless I'm doing what I need to do.
Isn't it amazing how that happens when you find it?
When you need to do what you need to do, and you allow everyone else in the world to do what they need to do.
Right. Turn mine on vibrate.
But that's the key.
So we touched on this, but when you speak to people, okay, you just decided one day, like, I'm going to do that, or did somebody ask you to speak?
Well, I mean, really what happened was I was having dinner over my neighbor's house, and I forget, you know, she knew that I had been writing some music, but she was into some metaphysical stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so I started talking to her about it. My neighbor's mother-in-law, or my neighbor's mother, right? And so I was telling her all about it, and she goes, well, why don't you present it? And I said, well, I don't know. And then and then I decided that, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I booked a place to present, and I got and I didn't have a presentation ready. I had nothing ready. I just booked it.
But there it is.
But then I did. But then that forced me to do it.
Yeah.
Having a deadline is important to me.
It's me too.
I need it.
Super important. You see this right here, this book that I wrote with my friends. The only reason we were able to publish this is because we held ourselves to every week you have to hand something in. But go ahead. I'm sorry. It's hard. It's hard for me to set deadlines for myself.
Well, I picked a date for my book right now. April 1st.
I was going to ask you that. They didn't tell you have to do it by a certain time?
No.
Because of the grant? Oh.
No.
April 1st. Wow.
Well, that's at least the writing part.
Yeah.
Like, I need to write it all out.
I understand. And
then you got to go back. Then I have to draw pictures, get pictures done, get permissions, check all my references, check everything. And then once I do all that, then I'm going to find a publisher, and someone that can really do the. I've had one business experience so far with this, and it didn't end well because I didn't. They tried to take advantage of me. They tried to take advantage of my music and try to steal it from me. And me not knowing any better to get anything signed saying this is mine, this and that. Luckily, I didn't sign anything.
Right, exactly.
But some people try to manipulate you.
Yeah, sure.
So from this point on, I'm making sure that either I have no partner, or if any partner that I have, it's spelled out exactly what my purpose is, what your purpose is, and make sure that it is like A-OK legit. Right. Because that's all I want is fair and legit. Yeah. So what I'd like to have a publisher that is fair and legit. Mm-hmm. I want to retain ownership of my stuff. I'm not going to give the rights away, but I want somebody that I don't mind paying for the services I need.
A lot of places they take the copyright, so you might want to self-publish. I don't know. There is a stigma around it, but I think that stigma needs to go. The stigma of I self-published it, therefore it doesn't have as much credibility.
Well, then you know what? Then I need somebody to help me with the self-publishing process. I need somebody that knows how to do it.
Well, I can help you with that. I mean, because like I said, we did it. We actually have a second book that we.
But where are you to put it out?
The one we use is iUniverse, and it's only one of many different types. In iUniverse, you pay them, they publish your book. I should check. I'm pretty sure we retain the copyright on all the material, but I should double check that.
Because I don't want to give that up.
I understand.
All along.
They'll also market it for you, though. It goes up on Amazon as a Kindle and as the regular book that can be bought. It goes up on you can pay extra for them to do an actual marketing thing if you want to do that. We didn't do that, obviously. But you'll get a real Library of Congress number. It's legit.
Right. I mean, I've figured out how to publish my own music. Like, I'm doing my self-publish all my own music. And I assume that it's a learning thing.
Your music is available. Some of it's available on your YouTube channel, which I'll have links to on the website.
Yeah, you can listen to all my music for free on YouTube.
Okay.
If you you can download the official MP3s on 11-minute. You can go to my website tomfom.com.
Tom Fom.
Yeah, TOMFOM.
Gotcha.
Or tomcassella.com. It redirects to tomfom.com.
Gotcha.
Tomfom is just fun. Tomfom.com, and FOM stands for Flower Music.
Oh, that's right.
So,
that's perfect.
Right. So that's why I have it.
Yeah,
And,
perfect.
So tomfom.com, and then you can download an 11-minute meditation, which it's the same script that I use in my in the presentation.
I've
meditation.
listened to it. Can I ask about that very quickly?
Sure.
And then I still want to go back to the speaking part of this, but in that meditation, which was wonderful, by the way. I mean, I'm not even ashamed to say that there were tears coming out at a certain point, and when something, even a movie, can invoke a reaction in me, then I know it's real and legit for me. And that's what that did. But you explained a little bit, you're playing the keyboard. And then underneath that is when you have just the single tone related to each chakra. Each chakra is related to a specific tone, and you're playing that in the background through each chakra, and then you're improvising the keyboard over top of those tones.
Correct.
Okay. Now the keyboard itself, because maybe this is what you're trying to explain earlier. Are you tuning the keyboard itself to relate to notes? Are you playing notes in a certain pattern or frequency?
So, like I was saying earlier, like how everything's a ratio.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to set a certain number to a ratio, and then it gives you the other number.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In music, it's all based off the note A, the A above middle C.
Okay.
Now, it's the musical standard that that note is tuned to 440 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was and throughout history, it's been above that, below that. It was started to be recommended. There were all these different standards, like American Standard Association. And in 1936, recommended 440.
Yeah,
and
then the orchestras even had like a contest between each other. Like one, they were playing at 432, and then one tuned it to 440. I think in Philadelphia, for some reason, to get some sort of edge, and then it became the standard. But I'm sorry.
Well, they were getting a little bit sharper or flatter. But to the point, let me explain first. What I do is I retune A.
Okay.
To make a certain note on the piano equal one of those solfeggio tunes.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I want to make the note C, the C above the C above middle C, if I want that to be 528 hertz, right?
Yeah.
I have to tune A 17 cents sharp.
I understand now.
Close to 440 hertz, or 444 hertz. Okay, so you changing the pitch of A changes every other note on the keyboard. So I can mathematically figure out with ratios and by just using a frequency reader, what note equals that tone.
That's amazing. I think that's part of what is going to become groundbreaking in sound healing study.
Well, and anybody can do it. I mean, I have a Korg M50. And
are you the only one that's done that so far?
No, there's people. I think there's people out there that's done that. There are.
All right.
Yeah, and there's somebody. There's it's called whole tones.
Okay.
There's people out there that have done that.
All
yeah,
right.
Absolutely. But it's not popular.
Yeah.
It's not, and they're not doing it the way I'm doing it.
Okay.
And they're not, it's just like everybody, just because you have the same tuning system doesn't mean you're going to make the same kind of music.
Or that you understand the relationships the way you do.
Maybe they do.
Maybe.
I mean, it's just pure math.
Okay.
It's just pure mathematics. And the idea is that you're creating a frequency that is supposedly helping a certain part of your body, which more research would prove if it is or not.
Sure.
Sound healing has been forever. It's used by the Native Americans in chants. There's literature in the 17, I forget the guy's name, but it's called The Anatomy of Melancholy. How music and dancing is essential to curing the mentally ill.
Yeah,
Hippocrates used music.
Uh-huh.
Ancient Greece and Egypt regular use music. They had music rooms.
And it's the only one that activates all parts of the brain at the same time.
It activates it's both hemispheres of the brain. The cranial nerves connected every organ. I mean, there's so many reasons why sound healing. And it's like in the Bible it's talked about. Was it David played the harp?
That's right.
Getting soul of a bad spirit, quote unquote. So it's throughout history, and so it's sound healing. I forget. We're on something.
Yeah, I know. I guess my mind was jumping. Maybe I'm going to take you off of it, but technology's role in all this, because you can listen to music being played. You can put headphones on. Or you can go into a full blown. I picture like a speaker chamber where you're getting the vibrations. Is there anything to that?
There's definitely. You just have to do the research. Someone recently contacted me. They're trying to get a grant to build this chamber that's built in Metatron's cube. And they asked me, like, is there a certain, solid that's related to a certain tune?
There you go. That's awesome.
So I said, yes and no. Mm-hmm. The problem is it's all based on ratios. So nothing's set.
Right.
So I can tell you that a tetrahedron, you can make it with a minor 6, a major 6, and a perfect 5th. And at the inverse is a perfect 4th, a major 3rd, and a minor 3rd. But those can be anything.
Yeah.
You got to be looking more. But they want to create a cool experience, which I think is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I answered the best I could.
Sure.
And I hope they get the grant because it's an awesome idea.
But it still doesn't address. Like it's not a worked out science.
It's not a worked out science. It's not. But that's where I'm working towards. Mm-hmm. If I could build some kind of device that if I make these frequencies and through somatics or through Dr. Emoto's for water freezing stuff, if I can reverse engineer platonic solids or geometries with ratios, that's almost proving that everything is created with a formula of vibrations.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to prove. Mm-hmm. The study of that. And that's what I need the help on. I need, I can come up with ideas, I can write music, I can talk, I can present, I can put it together. But bringing this information out, that's where I'm looking to have somebody, not just a business, but somebody that understands like what the hell I'm trying to do.
Well, that's what I was getting at with the speaking, and it might sound judgmental, but it's not meant to be. It just seems like the crowd that you had, and of course I didn't know anybody, I didn't speak to anybody, but it seems like you're going over the whole thing from the from step one, flower of life, geometry, platonic, and you're doing it for these people who I'm assuming that most of them had absolutely or very little knowledge of any of this stuff, and that's great, and we need that, but it seems like you're ready for the people, like you said, a little more knowledgeable of the subject to need to hear this information, because they might be the one. I'm sort of getting up, but like the next few times that you speak, it would be nice, I guess, if you were speaking more to a crowd of people who were already with you on the first half hour of that presentation, so that they didn't have to spend that much time on it and could go a little further.
I could do advanced presentations.
Yeah.
But once you get to that end point, though, I mean,
I see what you're saying.
What do you? Where
do you go from there?
Where do you go from there?
Yeah, you go to meditation.
Right, you go to the meditation. Because it's so, but I like to go that full route. And I want somebody to be like, okay, I'm about to sit in a class.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's not 2 hours.
Or listen to a podcast, but that was one of my not fears, but just my worries about doing this as a podcast was, what the fuck? How are we going to talk about this without visuals? But I think we've done a pretty good job.
Well, it's because we talked a lot about concepts.
Yes.
I'm not telling you look, follow these multiples up, or look at this, or look at that.
Which I was again rewatching last night for probably the third or fourth time, still trying to get a full grasp on it. But yeah, that can't be explained audibly. Although I do put these up on YouTube, so I might for real put in the work of going through our conversation and throwing up appropriate visuals.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be really awesome.
It'd be more work than I'm used to doing, but I think I would really enjoy it.
That kind of a thing, yeah. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
The people would love to have a visual.
Well, and then you can take that and run with it if you need,
Right. I'm totally going to be putting this on my website.
Yeah, please, absolutely.
Yeah.
And anybody that you know that might be interested in listening, I'm small. I'm only... Your episode's 18, I think. So I haven't been doing it very long.
It's still a lot, 18.
It is. It feels like a lot, but the listeners, I don't know. I don't really have a sense of who's listening. Is anybody listening? I know a few people are. I get more YouTube hits than anywhere else.
Yeah.
But like you're somebody where I feel like I'm glad to be able to help you spread your message in any way, shape, or form, because I really do believe it's important.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm very happy to do this because this is I want to do now. This is what I need to be doing all the time.
Yeah,
going and talking and saying what I have to say.
Yeah,
and interviews like this are awesome.
It's fun.
I have fun.
Yeah.
I light up. I love talking about it.
I could see it when I was there watching you. When I saw the first video, and then when I went to see you at the church. Your enthusiasm and passion, I mean, it really is contagious. It's putting out a real vibration.
I'm transmitting and giving off this information at a high power.
Yeah.
But I don't get excited about this stuff. I mean, I don't get excited about as much about other things. Like, I'll get emotional. Like, certain things get me. I'm a very emotional person.
Okay.
Like, I get emotional very easy.
Right. Yeah, me too.
It's just because the thing is that I can feel other people's emotions, and it's overwhelming. I get overwhelmed with emotion, and I can get even just with my own emotions. Like, movies can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this might seem funny, but even, like, watching old Yankee games.
Sure, why not?
Like, there's just, like, I can feel the emotion in the crowd.
Drama,
I can see it. I can see it in their faces.
Right.
I can feel it in people. And I think that's a big thing that helps me as being a music or a special needs teacher, is that I am so in tune with people, with human beings.
And you have to be to work.
And to know and how to help them. And to find which way, because every single one is absolutely different.
Right.
And it's just as human beings.
You're trying to find functional, vibrational...
Right, and that's why it's almost a joke when I do lesson planning. Like, it's like, I write down concepts.
Yeah.
And, like, I write down a specific thing for each student that I want them to be doing, differentiated based on their IEP, everything. Like,
right.
I do the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And the class of the thing that you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what kind of mood, what happened last night, what they're going to be feeling that day.
Absolutely.
Who's going to be absent, who's going to be there.
Yeah.
You go into it, and it's like being able to adapt.
I was just going to say that. You have to be completely adaptive.
And I walk in every day like water. I mean, and I understand, and like the best thing about school, to me, is its schedule.
Yeah.
It's structure.
Right.
Structure is just, one of the best things. Like, I have to have structure and routine. I can't go many days or very long out of my routine.
I hate to admit it, but I'm the same way because I don't like structure and routine as much. I just know that I need it and I know that it benefits me, so I appreciate it. But man, do I love, just that blank slate of there's nothing to do or nothing going on. But then anytime I'm in that mode, I go crazy after a few days because I feel
it can't last long.
It can't because it's like I should be doing something or I need some
well,
sort of direction.
My biggest thing is when I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I go into a major funk,
right.
And how I get myself out of it is I write. I get a notebook out or just paper and I put it down and I put the date and I just start writing whatever's on my mind.
Yeah,
whatever. Oh, it's snowing out. It's cold. I have to do this and that. And I just write. And I write as long as it takes until I feel like I've said everything I need to say. Then in there, I have a question. I question myself. Well, I need to do. What do I need to do today? Then I start saying stuff. And I figure out a direction of what I need to do. The latest time I did this was just recently. Right, like I just wrote out, and then I'll write every day for a couple of days,
right?
And then I have a direction.
Yeah.
And once I have a direction, but then I keep the notebook there, and I keep it right where I sit every day, where I sit down to eat dinner or open the mail, right there. And as soon as I sit there, I sit and I write a paragraph.
Nice.
Like maybe it's like during dinner, or maybe it's like in the morning, and I just write a little bit. Just writing out is important for me to stay focused.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. That's all.
No, I completely agree with you. I guess I'm a writer by trade. Like that's my main thing. Although I haven't done it in a while, been more podcasting. But journaling and writing out things is so important. And there was a book called The Artist's Way. It was a 12-week program, And one of the things that you had to do every morning, the first thing when you woke up, were these morning pages. And it was exactly what you just described, where you're writing only what you're thinking. You're taking a magnifying glass to your thoughts. So already it's teaching you to be aware of the moment and what you're thinking and put it down. Song lyrics come into your head. I feel like shit, blah, 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 whatever you want to write. As long as the pen does not stop moving on the paper. You do that for 3 pages.
Yeah, and I have a special pen, like a iridium tip that I refill out of a well, and you know, like I put a lot of like I got it years ago. Years ago, when I first learned about law of attraction and writing, how important writing was.
Right.
I bought some ink and a real pen, and I started writing in script, which I was never really good at. But then I don't know. Then I started just. It's my own handwriting, and the neatest thing about my handwriting is that every day it's different.
Oh, that's cool.
The spaces in between changes, and it all depends on my mood and how I'm feeling.
That's interesting.
So you can tell if I'm in a very controlled mood and ready to produce, or I'm in a very manic mood and I'm just really you can see the shifts of my moods. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but you can tell how I'm feeling that day based on my handwriting.
Sure, you're never going to be the same.
And that's the thing too. I'm a guitarist, right? And I play lead guitar in a band, and every solo that I play is different.
That's
every
cool.
time.
Right.
I don't play anything
nice
because I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain solos, like the first solo in Comfortably Numb, like that one I play note for note, but I add my my own things to it.
Sure.
But anything else, or the second part of Comfortably Numb, you have those certain signature licks.
Yeah.
But everything else is just whatever I feel like doing.
Around,
I just improvise.
Uh-huh.
And same thing with at the presentations when I play the piano.
Yeah.
I never play the same thing twice.
Yeah, you said that.
I have no idea.
Because you
I'll never
want to
do it
be
again.
tuned into the moment. It's
right.
what's coming out.
It's channeling.
What's the name of the band you're in?
Quarter Pound Jones.
Quarter Pound Jones. And so what do you guys play?
We play all covers,
okay.
and it's just all rock.
Nice.
From all genres, all everything.
Any because my obsession is Genesis, Gabriel, Collins.
Yeah, no, we don't do any Genesis.
Damn.
No.
not fans.
No, well, I mean, we're fans. Just we have to find what fits our singers.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We do everything from like the Killers to like Pink Floyd to the Stones to Grateful Dead to Pearl Jam to Weezer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean we do everything.
Yeah, let me know when you guys are playing next.
February 24th at Thatcher's.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then there's one on March 10th, the 26th.
Yeah.
One in May.
Oh, so you're always out there.
We have the rest of the year booked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. How long have you been doing that?
This is probably our 3rd year together. 2 or 3 years together.
Yeah. So you got the girlfriend, the two kids. You're teaching the special ed. You're working on a groundbreaking theory that marries sacred geometry and music, and you're also playing in a band.
Yeah.
This is pretty amazing.
And running a household.
Yeah.
That
itself is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That's why scheduling. That's why it's such a hard time scheduling this.
I'm the same way.
We came at as soon as I felt bad that I couldn't do it before New Year's, and I'm like, oh man, I hope he still wants to do it, And then New Year's came over, and you're like, yeah. And as soon as you said, I'm like, all right, let's set a date right now. I went right to the calendar.
Sure.
Right
No, I was patient because I know how it is, and I knew it was going to happen, and I had other guests lined up at that time, so it worked out perfectly.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be. It worked out good too because my mind's fresh, from all these topics.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's the perfect time to talk.
Did you have anything else that maybe something we didn't cover that you think should be mentioned?
Well, I just want to put out there, and whoever's listening, if they're interested, just my email is tomcassella@gmail, and my website's tomfon.com, and I have a YouTube channel, and I'm completely accessible. Mm-hmm. Reach out.
I'll have links for everything on the website.
And that everybody do their best. That's all you can ask of yourself, and anyone can ask of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Tom, thank you so much.
Yes, Marcus.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's great.
Yeah.
is the expanding of the universe in our conscious minds and our hearts. And it's this experience of life. So, you guys made it through that. I have no more math for you guys. There's no more numbers. At this point, we're going to start chilling out, okay? I just want to introduce, we're talking about a little bit about our chakras and our energy systems. And, if we look at ourselves, we're an organic being, right? We're made up of the earth, we're sacks of water, we are, are electrical at the same time. And we think about on a computer, there's a circuit board, and there's a way that energy flows. And it's the same thing here. We are human computers. Our brain is the best computer, the most high-powered computer. There's no way, with technology keeps getting better and better, but there's still nowhere near the human brain. There's nowhere near the technology of our nervous system. And energy flows the same way. You can kind of see this torus here, the auric energy field. And that our bodies have these different energy passages. And that we have to work on keeping them clear so energy can flow freely. And that it keeps our body and system in check, and in balance, and in harmony. And I want you to visualize yourselves being a rainbow. Being a being of light in its most pure form. Because that's truly what we are, is light. Now what I'm going to do is I have these tones recorded on my phone of the tuning forks. And they're sine waves. A tuning fork creates a sine wave which is very well-rounded frequency. And what I did was I manipulate this keyboard to play in the keys of the different frequencies. Because normally in music, everything is tuned to the standard tuning of 440 hertz. And what I do on this keyboard is I change the master tuning of A, so certain notes on the piano equal the key I'm playing in. For instance, for example, for 396 hertz, I tune A 19 cents sharp, so G equals 396 hertz. And I do that. So as I go through this, there'll be some times when the music stops, and you'll hear a tone change, and then I go through it. That's what that is. First thing I want you to do is to get comfortable, position in your chair. Where your shoulders are back and relaxed. Place your hands comfortably on your lap and have both feet flat on the ground. As you settle in, feel free to move around and adjust yourself to find the right position you feel most comfortable. Now, if you haven't already, begin to gently close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose and fill your lungs to about 85%. Now hold it. Now gently and slowly exhale through your mouth. Now breathe in again through your nose. Hold it. And gently and slowly your head. Now this light is going to pour all over your body, starting at the top of your head. It feels cooling and refreshing. And imagine it flowing over and into your body, cooling and relaxing all stress and anxiety with pure white light. Imagine it completely covering your body inside and out. Now invite the color red to your root chakra, right at the base of your spine. Visualize the most beautiful shade of red, like that of red roses and ripe cherries, covering and emanating through your root chakra. And breathe deeply, feeling grounded in the here and now, saying in your mind, I am here. I belong here. Mother Nature provides my sustenance. Now invite the color orange to your sacral chakra, right below your navel. Visualize breathtaking orange of the setting sun, and breathe deeply, letting this color to cover and emanate from your navel. This is the center of your emotional intelligence, creativity, and pleasure. Now say in your mind, I allow myself to be nourished. I allow my needs to be met. solar plexus, which is right below your sternum. Visualize the lovely yellow that is seen in the field of sunflowers, glistening in the sunlight. Breathe deeply, letting this color yellow to cover and emanate from your solar plexus. This is the center of your personal power and drive. Now say in your mind, I love myself. I am enough. I have the power to create anything in my lifetime. Now invite the color green to your heart chakra, which is in the center of your chest. Visualize the color green of an early summer's meadow, teeming with life. Breathe deeply, letting this color green to cover and emanate from your heart chakra. This is the center of your personal development. Unconditional love in all relationships. Now say in your mind, my love is unconditional. I allow myself to be loved. I have an unlimited amount of love to give and receive. indigo to your brow chakra, which is right above and between your eyes, also known as your third eye. Visualize the color indigo of the twilight sky after the sun has set, but right before the night has fully taken over. Breathe deeply, letting this color of indigo to cover and emanate from your third eye. This is the center of your intuition and connection of the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Now say in your mind, I nurture to and listen to and trust my intuition. My brain works in perfect harmony. Now invite the color purple to your crown chakra at the top of your head. Visualize the color purple of a stunning field of lavender. Breathe deeply, letting this color purple to emanate from your crown chakra. This is your connection to infinite wisdom, the divine, and the spirit of God's inside. Now say in your mind, I am connected to the universe in every way. The Spirit of God is within me. Now hold the intention of your chakras closing down just a little. Become aware of how you feel and the peace that resonates inside of you. Hold yourself with loving kindness for the beautiful, unique being that you are. We will now close this meditation with a grounding and healing prayer. locate the origin of our feelings, our thoughts of any illness or emotional pain. Take each and every level, layer, area, and aspect of my being to this origin. Analyze it and resolve it perfectly with God's truth. Come through all generations of time and eternity, healing every incident and its appendages based on the origin. Please do it accordingly to God's will until I am at the presence, filled with light and truth. God's peace and love, forgiveness of myself for my incorrect perceptions, forgiveness of every person, place, circumstances, and events which contributed to these feelings and thoughts. You are loved, and you are never alone. Slowly come out of this meditation at your own time. Become aware of the temperature of the room. Become aware of your own body again. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers. You're back here in this beautiful church. Thank you. I love you, and may God be with you.
It's very powerful having a positive family, the power of the prayer, and God, plus the positive attitude. All those things mean so much to get you through life.
We covered all the important stuff.
That's right. So now let's cover the unimportant stuff.
It's a microcosm of all of the pain of the United States.
Ooh.
You see, getting these moves.
We left on a specific thought thread. You don't remember where we ended it, huh?
I'm not sure I remember what I did yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. When you're in the moment, there's only this moment.
I guess tune in next time when I have some interesting shit to talk about. Other than that, I love you. I love the world. Peace out.
Sir, I avoid responsibility. That way nobody feels compelled to put me in a position of power.
Be excited, because now it's here. Shiny gift of a lesson that you have in front of you. And now you have to work through it. You really have to, if you want to and you're tired of it, you have to work through it.
Why not? And give yourself, I would call it a dose of real reality. I mean, where nothing makes sense but everything works.
Let's be real. None of this is real.
I feel like I'm telling a story.
What's your advice for people in life?
My advice is to stay strong, be helpful, be smart, be brave, be powerful, be kind, and be loving to everyone, even your pets.
People are like, oh, wouldn't you get lonely when all your loved one dies? Like, no, you get new loved ones.
We really don't know what's in store for us. We really don't know.
Well, would you want to know?
Well, no.
No.
Let's say something bad happened to you. Move on. It already happened. Just move on to the better things in life.
I hope it's really not just us. Right. Everyone else is like, self-create eternal hell. No. Every waking moment is a joyous experience of growth and opportunity. I find myself totally spiritual centered and at peace with the balance between me and the rest of the universe.
What a heck of time!
After all that, they won the game.
you.